Hey everybody, it's David again from Real Hard Reviews, and today we got a very special build. It is the ultimate gaming / productivity back to school special you could ever dream of. We're just not putting parts together, we're building the entire unified system with every single component. From the GPU to the case, it is designed by MSI to work in perfect harmony. And ultimately, this is sponsored by MSI, so this is the ultimate back to school MSI build. At the heart of this build is the 9950X3D with 16 cores and its game-changing 3D V-Cache technology. This CPU is an absolute legend for gaming and delivering some of the highest frame rates possible, and not only that, the ultimate productivity monster house. Now let's quickly check out the other components of this build and we'll jump right into it. We got the actual RTX 5080 Expert Edition from MSI, which is a beautifully CNC machine, so we'll unbox that later on. Not only that, we also have a 1000-watt power supply for this hefty GPU, and we also got the MPG X870E Carbon Wi-Fi edition for this amazing CPU. To cool this ultimate CPU, we need the ultimate AIO, and that includes the CORELIQUID P13 360 AIO. This has just got released from MSI, and a cool little feature is that it has an actual built-in screen that you can utilize for anything you want. Now, we can't forget about memory, so this computer is actually going to have 64 gigs of DDR5 memory measured at 6000 megahertz. The reason why we need 64 gigs is very simple. It's because it's going to be a productivity monster, so you want to make sure you have enough memory to do all intensive tasks. As far as storage goes, we're going to use the SPATIUM M570 Pro. This is a Gen 5 2TB drive, and just look at the specs on this bad boy. That is about 1.24 gigabytes of read and also 1.18 gigabits of write, which is ridiculous, and that's why it also has a massive cooler for it. And as far as what gaming accessories you'll get as well with this back to school build, we're going to look at the VISA Pro wireless gaming mouse, also the Forge GK600 TK wireless mechanical keyboard. This wouldn't be an ultimate gaming rig if it didn't include the ultimate gaming rig PC monitor, which is the 27-inch 4K OLED display from MSI. The picture quality is breathtaking with perfect blacks and incredible vibrant colors from the OLED display, so I can't wait to check that out here shortly. Now let's talk about the case of the system and how we're going to build this computer. This is going to be the MPG Velox 300R Airflow PZ. There is tempered glass on the side, which is super cool. And not only that, we have a front, which is perforated. It's not tempered glass on the front, which is great, which means airflow is going to be amazing. And the key feature about this all, it actually has two 160mm fans. So we're going to go into it and we're going to explore those fans, and they're also RGB. Materials are pretty good. It does have like a gunmetal texture on it, has MSI's logo on it, so it's pretty standard fare. Nothing too crazy, and I can't wait to see how these fans turn on with the RGB. Now, to get into the actual case, it's pretty straightforward. There's a little divot here that you just basically press forward, and the tempered glass will basically just slide out. Just make sure when it does come out, you pull out, and then you go. Now, inside the case, it's pretty standard affair. You can have your ATX, micro ATX, ITX, and even eATX if you really wanted to. It has enough space for it. It has the standoff screws already pre-installed, which is a super nice feature. On the back, you can see you have a regular 120mm fan here, non-RGB, which is fine for now. You also get a power supply shroud, which is super cool, but that's the only thing I don't like about it too much, is that you don't have a cutout, so you can't see, what power supply you mounted inside of it. Another cool feature that MSI actually added is the GPU support bracket here, which is super thoughtful because nowadays GPUs weigh a ton. Now, the only negative feature that I've seen right here is this. It's not toolless, so every time you gotta mount your graphics card or change these out, you do need a screwdriver to get them out. And it's not super useful because, I'll be honest, you do need to go through here and it becomes a little awkward. So it'd be nice if you had a toolless system here, but you can't have everything. Now, MSI includes some grommets in here as well, so you can hide your wires pretty nicely. You can also have some on the side here as well if you can see them, which is super cool. At the bottom here, you can see you can have a space for a SSD here on the bottom to mount, or any type of hard drives, which is super nice. And on the top, as you can see, we can support up to 360mm AIOs, which is exactly what we're going to do here today. We're going to be mounting it directly on top and having the CPU pump right here, essentially. So it would not have any issues with the pump running out of water and causing air to bubble through. Now let's look at the back of this case and see how easy it is to open. Matter of fact, I think it's pretty much toolless. So as you can see right here, all you need to do is put your finger here, push and it just pops right out. Now at the back of this computer case, as you can see, there are a ton of options. You can definitely mount more fans here if you need be. You can also mount your AIO on the side here so you get some fresh airflow. From the looks of it, you can install a couple of more SSDs here and more down here. There's even little rubber mallets here so it doesn't vibrate at all. So I think you can mount about 4 of them back here if need be. Now there's a lot of places where you can do cable management pretty easily. They do include some of these straps as well. Not only that, they include some right here that have not been used, and there's a bunch of them, so you can really route your cables anywhere you want, which is a really nice touch. On the bottom, as you can see, this is where your power supply is going to actually be living, but there's a cool little feature. Down here, there's a little tab. All you need to do is push down and your filters come out and you can easily wash this. Now, talking about dust filters, there's also one up here. And to access this, all you need to do is look at these 2 thumb screws and pull them out. Once unscrewed, all you need to do is just pull and voila. You have access to the top where you can mount your AIO. And on the top, as you can see, there is a magnetic dust filter that should be easy to pull off and just clean out when you need be, and just put it back on when you're finished. Now to remove the actual front, it's pretty straightforward. All you need to do is basically pull the front off, and that's it. Now MSI has really thought about everything, and it also includes dust filters in the front. All you need to do to remove it is just pull, and voila, you get access to the fans. And I forgot to mention that this is actually magnetic as well. And here is the case fully disassembled, which is a perfect starting ground for our build. First portion of our build is going to be the motherboard. We're going to open it up, check out the features it has, and not only that, we'll mount the CPU and the RAM on there as well with the NVMe drive. Now that we actually unboxed the motherboard, we can talk about some cool key features about this board. It has 2 Gen 5 PCIe slots, which is perfect for your graphics cards. It features a quick release mechanism for your actual graphics card, which is super nice, especially since nowadays graphics cards weigh a ton and it's hard to see where to actually press this button on the bottom of it. So having this release mechanism right here is a perfect addition for this board. Talking about other buttons on this board, as you can see, there's an actual physical button on the bottom here that is the power button for the board itself and also the reset button. So you don't necessarily need to use the actual case to turn it on. Another cool feature is the toolless design to install your NVMe drives. For example, if you wanted to install the top portion of it, all you need to do is literally push and lift. Another cool toolless feature is where the other NVMe drives live. So underneath this piece of shroud is where the other 3 NVMe drives. How would you access them? Actually, it's pretty straightforward. All you need to do is press right here and this will come and lift up. And as you can see, you have access to the other 3 NVMe drives. Talking about IOs, you have an unlimited amount of features back here, which is super great. As you can see, you have a ton of USBs. You got 6 right here, an additional 3 here. They're all 10Gs, so that's 9 USBs. Also, you get USB Type-C 40G on the back here as well, which is super quick. Not only that, you also get a 2.5 gig and a 5 gig Ethernet as well, which is super nice to have. It will future-proof your system for a long time, and Wi-Fi 7 as well. You got your audio jacks on the side here, and the coolest feature of them all is these buttons right here. As you can see, they're labeled as CMOS, flash button, and smart button, which I'm assuming you can actually program this to do whatever you want. And the CMOS button is super nice. I've never actually seen a motherboard having a CMOS switch in the back here, so you don't need to really open up your case anymore, and you can just press it on the back of the case. And now we're going to install the CPU. There you have it. We installed the CPU, and now we're going to go ahead and install the RAM. As far as RAM goes, we're going to install the Crucial Pro Series 64 gig 6000 MHz kit. Fully seated in now, we're going to install the NVMe drive. Now we're going to install the SPATIUM drive, which is the M57 Pro FROZR, which is a 2 TB NVMe Gen 5 drive. This should be pretty easy. All you need to do is push and lift. Make sure to remove the seal here as well. And then all we need to do is pretty much install the drive. And there you have it, installed and secured fully. The only thing I'm worried about this thing is the height of it, and will it interfere with the graphics card? I don't think it will, but as you can see, that's where the PCIe slot's going to be for the GPU. But let's see how that looks. Looks pretty ridiculous, I'll be honest. And now we're going to install the actual motherboard into the case. So let's do that real quick. Okay, well now we got the motherboard inside, we're gonna get the screws in here real quick. And luckily enough, MSI has some screws here and they're nicely labeled as well. So you know exactly what you need for the motherboard and so forth for the entire case. Super nice feature to have, really useful. And there you have it. We installed the motherboard onto the actual case. And now we're going to proceed installing the actual AIO CPU cooler for this as well. To install the P13 AIO system here, you do need to remove these 4 screws around the CPU. So we'll be doing that right away. Okay, now that we removed the 4 screws, now we can install the standoffs right here. They're nicely labeled. As you can see, this is an AMD screw here, ready for the AM4 or AM5 platform. And there we go. We removed all 4 screws. Now we're going to apply some thermal paste on top and then install the AIO on top of it. So now we're going to install some thermal compound right on top of the CPU. Okay, we installed thermal compound. Make sure to remove the warning sticker here. If you don't, you're going to have a really bad time. You're going to have horrible performance. So make sure to remove this warning sticker before installing the CPU cooler directly onto the motherboard. Now we're going to install the small little screws here right onto the 4 edges of the actual CPU cooler, and that should finish up our installation. Cool feature about this actual CPU cooler, it includes a cover for it. So instead of seeing these 4 screws in your actual build, you can cover it up with this. So it makes it have a clean exterior. So let's go ahead and install this. It's pretty straightforward. It has 4 magnets on the back here. So all you need to do is basically plop it on top and it just holds in. Another thing to note about this as well is that you don't see any cables coming out of here, which is super cool because at the end of the day, what really ruins a lot of the aesthetics for these AIO coolers is that there's a massive amount of cables coming out to attach to the AIO pump. As you can see here, MSI actually routed these cables into the actual tubing and you have them right here. So you can easily hide these cables pretty nicely. So now we're going to install this directly onto the top and we're going to put the screws right on top of here of the case and we're going to flip it over. Now let's line up the holes and install the actual radiator on top of the case. You can see we installed the actual AIO cooler perfectly. It was relatively easy. Now we're just going to wire this up real quick and then go from there. As far as the cables goes for the P13 AIO, it actually has something really cool. It has MSI's Easy Cable. So this one little cable actually controls the RGB and also the fan speeds. So you can just connect this and that's all you need to do. And since this motherboard includes that as well, all I need to do is plug in one cable and make it super easy for us to install. If you don't have an easy connector on your motherboard, no problem at all. The actual P13 still includes a regular fan header and a USB header for you to install. So for on this motherboard, the easy connector is right here. All we need to do is just plug in this cable and that's it. To finish the install of the AIO, you need to connect the actual AIO pump to the motherboard. That is usually labeled AIO pump directly on the motherboard, and all you need to do is just plug her in and that's it. This will allow the actual pump to circulate the liquid inside the cooler to make your CPU cool. Powering everything is the MSI MPG 1000 watt cool power supply. It's a full ATX 3.1 and PCIe 5 ready with native 12 volt and 2x6 connectors we need for the RTX 5080. So let's unbox this and let's put this inside of that case. So now we're going to install the power supply directly into the case. It's pretty straightforward. We're just going to slide it down underneath there and then put some screws, and then we're going to put the actual cables as well for what we need. Now for this particular case, it's easier to actually mount the cables first before installing the actual power supply into the case itself. The reason why I'm doing this is simple, because when you mount this inside the case, it's going to be very hard for you to figure out where to put the cables in, and you're going to be going in blind. So mounting the cables beforehand is essential. So only thing that's left to do here is actually adding the 4 screws, and then afterwards we're going to wire up the entire PC. So the power supply has been installed. We're now going to wire the entire thing up, and we're going to start off with the motherboard and then work ourselves down. Okay, so now we got to install the CPU power. There's 2 of these cables that we need to attach, which is directly above here. We installed the 2 CPU cables right here, so we should be good to go. Now here comes a little more tricky part, is wiring the rest of the computer. We have a bunch of cables that we need to manage and also attach to the motherboard / fans and everything else in between. So why don't we do that right away? And here it is, all wired up and ready to go. I gotta give it to MSI, the actual cable management in this case is pretty nice. I can wire my wires everywhere I want and I can tie them up pretty nicely. As you can see, it was pretty clean, and you can stuff a lot of cables back here. Tons of space and options overall to wire and manage this entire thing. And here it is, all wired up in the front as well. Super clean build. You barely see any wires. Only thing left to do is really connect the GPU here, and everything else is pretty much hidden away. It's really nice to see that. The last thing to do here is installing the GPU, and we're going to install the MSI Expert 5080. So let's unbox this real quick and then install directly into the PC. This isn't your typical gaming GPU. The Expert series has a stunning die-cast design that looks incredibly premium and professional. So we're going to go ahead and proceed installing the graphics card. Now, before installing the graphics card, we're going to take out these slots here, making sure it lines up with the graphics card. So the graphics card for the 5080 is about 2.5 slots. We're going to take about 2 of these out, and that should cover it. Now, the last thing you need to worry about here is making sure the button here is in the unlock position so you can install the GPU. All you need to do is press the button, and there's going to be a little icon on top that will show you if it's unlocked or locked. And there we go, we installed the GPU bracket pretty easily back here. There's only 2 screws that you need to unloosen, and you basically push it up so that way your GPU doesn't sag. Now, if you're wondering where we're actually going to install the power cable for this GPU, it's actually hidden away underneath this piece of plastic. All you need to do is basically pull it out of here, and you can see the connectors right there. Now for the final piece is actually installing the cable. The cool thing about this power supply that MSI has provided is this power cable, which shows a bunch of yellow. And you would wonder, why is it showing yellow? It's simple. It's so that when you place the cable inside the connector, you have to make sure none of the yellow is actually showing, so it's seated properly. So we're going to do that right away. Okay, the cable's been fully seated into the graphics card. Now all we got to do is basically turn it on. So I'm going to put the case back together and then press the power button and see how she looks. And here it is, the ultimate back-to-school battle station is complete. This setup is designed to crush any assignment during the day and conquer any game by night. The centerpiece of this setup is definitely the OLED monitor. Its 4K resolution is a massive canvas, perfect for multitasking on research and creative projects. And when the work is done, the OLED technology provides breathtaking color and instant response times for a truly next-gen gaming experience. For a clean study space, we went for the wireless FROZR GK600 TKL keyboard. The compact design saves valuable desk space for books and notes, and its Sky tactical switches feel incredibly satisfying and accurate when typing papers, and also in-game that same tactile feedback gives you confident and precise control over every action. Paired that with the Versa Pro wireless mouse, its ergonomic shape is comfortable for hours of use, and its lightweight design reduces fatigue, which is great for both work and play. That comfort combined with the pro-grade sensor and the lag-free connection makes it a perfect for everything from detailed design projects to high-speed competitive gaming. Every piece of the setup was chosen for its ability to excel at both work and play. It's versatile, it's powerful, and a clean station that's ready for any challenge the school year brings. A massive thank you for our sponsor MSI for the ultimate student powerhouse. So let me know what you think below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. This is David from Real Hard Reviews, signing out.